Welcome and good evening, all. We're back for another episode of In Between Me's fantasy NASCAR show, The Backroad. My name's Elliot Hicks. I got Seth Woolcock with me. And first, I got to give a big shout out to you, Rod Villagomez, taking over the hosting duties our last episode. Did a great job, man. It was fun to watch. Appreciate having you back again this week, too.
Look, if I didn't blow up the show, then I think we're good, man. Thanks for letting me fill in for you. Like I said, it's hard to hold the keys to somebody else's car and not be afraid you're going to crash it. So I'm glad we're still online.
Well, hey, you drove that thing all 500 miles and parked it in Victory Lane for sure. Seth, how's it going with you this week?
Hey, man, we are back in the saddle. NASCAR season is heating up. We just switching over to NBC. I am absolutely hyped. It's been a good last time we were on the track. It was a good week of racing as well. So I am hyped, guys. This is probably maybe my favorite NASCAR season overall. Just the storylines, the betting, the fantasy. It's all coming together here for us, boys.
Season certainly is heating up, and it was pretty warm out in California for our last race. So let's look back at Sonoma in the rear view. And I think it's obvious the biggest storyline that came out of Sonoma was Daniel Suarez getting his first win. Just the fourth, I believe, foreign-born driver to earn a win in NASCAR's Top Series. And Trackhouse has been so good this year. It has been coming, and it was so awesome to see him win that race. And he earned it, too. Chris Buescher gave him a heck of a fight. Another point I wanted to make. A lot of unexpected contenders in this one. But to see Suarez finally get his first win and everything. All right,
yeah. You just had to go back to the rear view. That's all there is to it.
Right. Yeah, in the rear view, looking back at those celebrations, the taco pinata and everything. So cool to see Daniel Suarez finally get that W.
Yeah, that taco pinata. That was it. There's no other celebration. I know watermelon smashing is all the rage right now, but taco pinata takes the cake.
Yeah, man. I mean, fantasy and betting aside, what a great story. I literally teared up a little bit just when he was doing his burnouts and even before he got on the mic for the interview, man. I mean, this is just another story in NASCAR, a feel-good story, booted out of, Stewart-Haas Racing a couple years ago, comes back and Trackhouse, Justin Marks, this team, man, and everyone I've talked to about this team as well has just been, they have nothing but good stuff to say about Justin Marks. And, I mean, here we are, halfway through the season, and Trackhouse has been one of the most profitable teams, whether you're playing fantasy NASCAR, DFS, gambling, whatever it is, man. So it all came together in Sonoma, Rod out there in wine country for you, brother.
And here's the thing about it too. When you look at how that race shook out, obviously the favorites were the favorites, and the Hendrick boys were actually running up front for a decent amount of time, right? I mean, it was Larson, it was Elliott sharing all of this stuff, but weird. I mean, it just goes to show you that what works one year will not work every single time. In that, that pit strategy that they tried to break up the stages and still win the race, it didn't happen this year. And then that's why, Elliot, of course, you said that it shook up the field, and it really just put some folks that wouldn't necessarily be up in front. So I don't know, man. I enjoyed every bit of that. It was a lot of fun to see how different strategies played out and just how it really ended up in the end.
And if you did bet on Larson or Chase, regardless of the format you're playing in, you kind of walked away a little sour after it all played out. My lineups with those guys snuck in there did not do well. It was kind of unless you had Suarez or Buescher, but they were both in the top 10 too, so they weren't a very chalky play. So it was a really tough one to have any gambling on. Tyler Reddick there, he was having a good race, and then pit road issues for him, and Chase Elliott as well. So tough one on the track here, in the payout slips and the DFS lineups, but fun one to watch. I agree with you there, Rod.
Big pit road issues for Kevin Harvick, too. You had to feel bad for him. What did he say on the radio? His pit crew, we look like the biggest bunch of wankers every week. That was a heck of a word to pull out for him, but I have to feel bad for him, too, because it was a good run, and he still ended up, I think, in the top 5, but just comes up a little bit short in the race. He had a chance to win.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I feel bad for Harvick. I've been on, I'm a softie for Harvick. Every week I wear my Harvick on my sleeve, and it's just every week he has something. The wankers on pit road just make him look bad. So yeah, we'll blame them.
Yeah, and it's as we transition into the second quote-unquote half of the season, I think NBC has a few more races overall, a few more months on the calendar, but we're about halfway through, at least definitely halfway through the regular season. I think the craziest storyline has been how many winners there are. You only get 16 guaranteed supposed winner spots in the playoffs. We're in Nashville in the end of June. There's already been 12 winners.
Wow.
I think that's insane. I think this is the year that we get the 16 winners. People have said, oh, talk to me when there's 16 winners, then we'll figure it out. But, Harvick was able to, as I said in my through the field column, Harvick was able to sneak in as the only non-winner last year, and I don't think he's that lucky again this year, or any non-winner, to be honest with you.
Agreed. Yeah, it's going to be tough for them out there. And who would have thought right now that Trackhouse has more combined wins than Stewart-Haas, RCR combined? They have as many wins as Penske right now. So, I'm hammered down this Trackhouse team the rest of the way here, boys. And Hendricks is starting to slow down a little bit in terms of win columns, at least. They were profitable early, haven't been, so fortunate as of lately. But, lots of winners and losers so far this year that I don't think we were expecting. I was not expecting this many first-time winners as well.
Well, and what's nuts is that by this time last year, this is when Larson started to heat up. But a couple races ago, this is when Larson caught fire and was basically winning everything in sight. You're not seeing that right now. In fact, what you're seeing is almost the exact opposite, where Larson is making little mistakes that are costing him track position, that are costing him the chances at wins. He's a dominant car still, absolutely still a fast driver, still a fast car. You can't take that away from him. But it just feels like this year, those mistakes that he wasn't making last year are starting to catch up to him now, in that he just can't finish a race in front to save his life over the last few races.
Yeah, it's been tough for sure. Well, let's start looking ahead to some of these races, see if anybody can catch fire in the horizon forecast. And we got a special guest on the other side too.
Hey, Michael, it was only 20% chance of rain. I think we got all 20.
Well, to help us look ahead to the next two races at Nashville and Road America, without further ado, it's JKL from the LTC, Left Turn Cult. Thanks for joining us, man. How are you doing this evening?
Oh, you're muted, JKL.
Got that microphone on mute, but let's
off to a great start. That's a great start right there. Thanks for having me back, guys. I'm doing great.
This should be fun here. Going to talk about Nashville and Road America. So we're back to Nashville again, second consecutive year. It's going to be a hot, slick track again. The heat could really be a factor. What do you guys think about this race? JK, I think we've got to start with you, man.
So I actually lived in Nashville for a couple of years. I actually just got done moving back home, I think, last year. So, yeah, it's going to be hot. That's the biggest thing. It is going to be so hot that you can't stand it. If you wear blue jeans or anything that goes – if you wear cargo shorts, you're dead. That's the way it is. But as far as that, it's definitely going to be a beautiful weekend. Beautiful weekend to hit Broadway. Beautiful weekend to watch a race.
I guess I'll jump in. As somebody else who has lived in the Nashville area, I lived a little bit away from that. But you're right. I mean, it's I tell you, there's nothing like the humidity in the summer in there. And drivers are not only going to be battling that on the outside, but you figure the track temperature is probably going to be up there. They're going to have to just hydrate the entire time if they want to make it through this race. And yeah, it's going to be a very hot afternoon. So I hope they're ready for it. I hope they've got their fans. I hope they're got their cooling suits. Didn't Jimmy Johnson once upon a time have a cooling suit? I want to think that he did, but
yeah, they all to an extent have some sort of cooling stuff in there now, right?
Maybe? I think so.
JKL, I got to ask before we jump into the favorites here, man, what's going on with the whole bag procedure at the racetrack? Because I've been hearing people chirping about it on Twitter. Can you break this down from like a Tennessee native? Like, is this just like smoke right now, or is this like for real?
No, it's for real. They're actually there's no coolers allowed. I'm not even going to bitch about the coolers anymore because it's just apparent that they don't care, which is unfortunate. But yeah, there's no coolers allowed, but you can bring as many waters as your arms can hold inside the track.
Waters?
Waters. Yeah. They're having water fill-up stations. I read about that. They're having water fill-up stations and places to hydrate. But I feel like they're spending more money on this than it would be just to let somebody walk in with a cooler. I just don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, water stations are nice to have, but as a veteran of music festivals here, they're good to have. They can be a real pain in the ass real quick, for sure. There's a bunch of people around.
JKL, do people in the Nashville, Tennessee area, do they get up for this race now that it's back after so long? I mean, obviously we had it last year, but to me, it seems like a great venue, other than the Kohler issue, it seems like a great overall time down there in Nash. Is it as exciting for the people around that area as it is for us watching it on TV?
I don't think it, I'm going to be controversial here. I don't think it's exciting for the people that live in the area.
Okay.
I just don't think they enjoy it.
Well,
now,
the racetrack is about half an hour outside like the main city limits, right? That's a big thing.
Yeah, it's technically it's very close to Murfreesboro. That's where the track is. I do think that it's a very enjoyable race to go to for people that don't live in Nashville, because not only can you go to Nashville and watch the race, Friday night, Saturday night, you can go hit the town, drink with the buddies or girls or whatever you want to do. And that brings in tourism to Nashville. But as far as people in the Nashville residents, which I'm sure there's a few, I just don't think that they're crazy about it.
Mm-hmm. Looking at some of these favorites here, JK, I'm sure you guys are breaking it down this week on LTC as well. But Kyle Larson obviously comes in as the favorite, 450 outright. It makes sense given his history at this track. Rowdy comes in and at plus 750. Again, makes sense given his history at this track. And then you got Ross at plus 800. Are you in on any of these favorites here, or is there someone outside these favorites that you're looking at and you guys over at LTC are looking at this week?
So I can't speak for the rest of the boys, but I'll tell you what I think, and I've already talked about this. The notebook that I have for this track.
I lost your camera there. It says you're in the stream with audio only. You still got
He doesn't want to share his secrets.
Honestly, I'm still here. I don't know how.
We got you.
All right. Well, that's all right. All right. There he is.
Yeah. Crazy. I have taken my notebook and thrown it and burned it. There is nothing about this next gen car that I can trust from last year. Yes, Kyle Larson is going to be a top 5 car. I think that's a given because he's Kyle Larson. Kyle Busch is going to be a great driver. But honestly, I'm seeing a new winner.
Oh, okay. Like first time winner? Or are we talking?
Maybe.
I mean, it's Tyler Reddick's day down there in the country,
I don't think it is, but I do think that Eric Jones is going to go to victory lane.
Oh,
that'd be spicy.
Spicy, yeah.
Okay.
And I think I said that the last time.
You can't write it off, though. I mean, he's had consistent runs in that 43. Helping continue to build, Petty GMS back into a competitive team. I mean, Seth, you've been on the Ty Dillon train all year with competitive.
Yeah, I'm off that train, buddy. That's left the state show without me now.
You're just looking forward to Austin Dillon's new show. That's all there is to it.
Rod, what are you seeing, brother, over there at the NASCAR Gambling Podcast? Because, I mean, the favorites make sense for me. The only one that I think is a little high is plus 800 with Chase Elliott, given that he was last in this race, a season ago. Obviously, some bad luck played into that. But what say you with some of these top dogs here? Is there any outrights you like?
I'm not even looking at the top 3 in outrights. To be honest with you, I'm looking a little down the list at Joey Logano. He's at plus 1,200 right now. And this is a crazy, I get it. I know that Logano's a lot of hit and miss, but he's already hit twice. And he's done well at these mile and 3/4, mile and whatever. It's not the mile and a half, but he's done well in the shorter tracks that they've been. And this Nashville track is shorter than your typical mile and a half. So I'm seeing Joey Logano, who has done well in these and continues to do well. I mean, he's not blowing the field out, but quietly he's putting together a season that's not as sexy as maybe a lot of people want to give him credit for. But I don't not see Logano having a chance to win this at the end of it, just given how well he's done at like Darlington, where he finished first. And you look at also what he did in Gateway, where he was 7th at the mile point 2, right? And in it's just, that's what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, I think Logano's a pretty decent play here. 2 guys I'm looking at also is Kurt Busch right now, plus 2,500. He's still hot off that win, not too long ago. He was 18 just a season ago. And then I know this is going to sound a little chalky, and I'm sure he'll be in a lot of lineups. I'm sure a lot of slips will be this. But Daniel Suarez, guys, plus 3,000 on the books outright. That's a little disrespectful, I think, given his history. He had a top 10 car here last year as well. So I think if I am going to put like an outright bet on this week, it's going to be with Suarez or Kurt Busch. I just really liked those odds, I think, better than any of these top guys. Elliot, what are you seeing out there? Is there anyone that we're kind of missing here that you're thinking could be either a guy under the radar or a heavy favorite this week?
Well, for one, I really like those odds for Kurt and Suarez. I mean, plus 2,500, plus 3,000. It's almost free money when you think about it. But I mean, talking about Logano so much, it could be a decent week for the Fords. I'm thinking a guy, maybe this is your Stewart-Haas Racing win. Maybe you see Kevin Harvick or Eric Almirola make their trip to victory lane, because even in the worst year Stewart-Haas Racing's ever had, they still were able to pull off a win with Eric Almirola, who was no better than 28th in the points at the time. So maybe these Fords will take advantage of this hot, slick Nashville track.
JKL, what else? Is there anything else as far as the conditions or the track, just the changes over the years that we should, as fantasy managers, as gamblers, that we should be paying attention to down here in Nashville? Because it really is like, we've had a couple of these tracks recently we don't know a lot about. We've had some new tracks this season. Nashville, like you said, it might be a toss-up with the new gen car. Is there anything we should be paying attention to?
Well, the biggest thing for me is I think about Gateway, which just happened a few weeks ago. Gateway, everybody was talking about. They're like, Kyle Busch. This guy knows the track. He's won, he won the first Busch Series race there. Like, he's won at this track. And then he didn't end up winning. So I think with the new car and this track that we haven't visited a lot, I don't think that last year was like written script for anybody. I think there's going to be some players that we don't expect to be in the top 10, some players that we do expect to be in the top 10. But as far as the track, like somebody said earlier, it's going to be slick. It's going to be a driver's track. And yeah, it's super speedway, but at the same time, it's not really a super speedway. It's just, they kind of say that. So it's going to take a lot of speed. I'm looking at Chevys, honestly. And then every time I get to this topic ever, I think about Ford and Toyota, and I honestly cannot tell you how good they're going to be. I never know. I'm always wrong. I say Toyotas are going to be good this week, and Fords are greater, and I'm like, what? Like, what's going on? And then I say Fords are going to be great, and Toyotas end up spanking them. So Chevy seems like they got it figured out. I'm thinking this is a Chevy track.
So that means Toyota's going to victory lane, right?
Yeah, the books like Chevys as well. The books like Chevys, they're the only negative money right now out there. I did take a look at those manufacturer lines. So, yeah, I mean, I think the books are right there with you, JKL. You and the boys going to be out there? You and any of the boys or any of the LTC boys going to be out there, a handful of beer since you can't take cooler with you?
Honestly, we haven't really decided. We were supposed to go. Parv was actually supposed to attend this race in a tux. I don't know if you guys know that. But because of heat,
I mean, don't kill the poor man. My God.
That was the fear. I pushed to get him out there, but nobody else was. Everybody's like, "You're nuts. He's going to have a heat stroke. He's going to die. We can't have that." So
maybe just the bottom half tux, top half like sleeveless tank.
They tried to give me an ultimatum and say he can wear like the tuxedo T-shirt. I'm like, no, like he's wearing a full vest and a top hat. Like that's not happening. So we don't know if we're going yet. I would love to go. Definitely, it's just the cooler thing and like not being able to take waters. And I heard last year they actually sold out of waters. So
that was a big problem. I don't think did they have the water stations last year? Do you know?
No.
Yeah. So that's, at least they have something, even though I'm sure the water is going to be very warm and uncomfortable to drink from those water stations. It's at least something. But
they selling beer in there? They got beer in there for sale?
Yeah, they're selling beer. They're selling some beer. But I mean, I'd love to get out there and go for it. But I just don't know. It's just one of those things like in the back of my head. Like, is it worth it? And
yeah.
Throw some waters in the cargo shorts and play a little Edward 40 hands on your hands walking in. You'll be set.
Hey, that beer's got to be ice cold. Yeah.
Yeah. It gives a whole new meaning to hydrate or dehydrate, right?
Well, JKL, we appreciate you joining us here, man, helping us preview Nashville, brother. If you and the boys, if any of you guys going out there to Nash this weekend, be safe, live it up for us, brother. We appreciate you.
We'll give it a shot, man. We'll try to survive.
Take care, brother.
Thanks, man. All right, well, that was a lot of fun. Nashville should be a good race. And then we head right back to a road course. It's up to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, and Road America over 4th of July weekend. It's another second-year returnee, jumping back to another road course real quick. I'm wondering if the Sonoma contenders would do just as well here, or if this is another one where you're going to have Chase Elliott dominate like he did last season.
I have a feeling that this is going to be one where – see, here's the thing. The NASCAR pit crews, the NASCAR, they're smart. They know how to figure out exactly what they did wrong. They'll watch the tape from Sonoma. They'll figure out exactly what went wrong, and they'll gear it up here. And this could be one where you see Chase Elliott jump back into the front and stay there again. He's got to reclaim his dominance. Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's been a little while since he's been relevant at road courses, like at the end. Now, of course, in the middle and the beginning, yeah, but at the end, this has got to be one, I think, where he breaks through again. Second year, yes, so there's not a big book on it. And, yeah, I mean, this could be Chase Elliott's week again.
Man, I love what you're saying, Rod. These road courses have been tough though, because the books know who the ringers are. The books know who the ringers are. They've been looking at the recent history. Luckily here, I think the one thing we have in favor, whether you're playing DK, FanDuel, or just betting on this, there's not a lot of track history here. So there's not a lot to go off of. I think like I'm honestly kind of pounding the table for Ross again this week, and he's been great at road courses all season long. He was a top 2 finisher last year at this track. I just don't think the odds will probably be that great for you. You're probably not going to get, great outright odds. His DK pricing is going to be sky high once again, like it has been the last few weeks.
Plus the fact he won COTA as well.
Yeah, exactly. So it's tough. And Kurt Busch, though, he's another one. I know we've kind of already talked about Kurt Busch, but if I'm playing any redraft for the next couple weeks, Kurt Busch is someone I'm definitely targeting. He was a top 5 car here last season as well. He showed some strength at these last couple road course races. Those are 2 guys I think I'm pounding the table for. But again, these odds are going to be tricky because, they know what they're doing here at DK and FanDuel, baby. They do.
Yeah, it ain't like it used to be for sure with those odds. But it's going to be a good couple weeks of racing. Now we're going to reset our tire tiers, something we haven't done in a while, see where we rank the good portion of the field. So let's move on to that. So as we pull our tiers up here, in tier number 1, we've got the usual suspects: Ross Chastain, the unanimous number 1 across the 3 of us, then Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney, and Kyle Larson. So it's all the usual suspects here, as you would expect. And the one thing that's got to be worrisome for some of those guys in the playoff bubble is we've already had 12 winners. Ryan Blaney, a consistent tier 1 driver for us, consistently running well, is not one of them. So not only are there 12 winners, there's at least 1, if not 4 guys you would expect to get a win before the regular season's over.
I think that's the toughest thing about this first tier here is I had Ryan Blaney outside of my tier 1, and it's just he hasn't been a threat to win these last few races. Right now, I mean, you got the overall points leader, Chase Elliott, up there. You got the playoff picture leader in Ross Chastain. Kyle Busch has absolutely been a threat these last few weeks. Logano won recently. I can't argue against any of these drivers being up here other than Ryan Blaney. I mean, we've been touting him. He was our 101 just a couple of months ago, it seemed. But I don't know. I am a little bit worried about just his lack of production at the end of these races. Rod, what say you here on tier 1?
I wanted to put Chase Elliott above. I wanted to, because he is the points leader. He is but just Ross Chastain has been that guy, and consistently in the top 10, consistently running well, consistently running in the top 10, whether or not he finishes there, so yeah, he's definitely dominated. And it was a little, to put the number 1 car in the number 1 spot. But, at the same time, I said I had to do it because I couldn't really in good conscience put even the points leader as the top driver in this tier. But yeah, Blaney's a little bit worrisome if you're playing any sort of even betting on him too. I know we had Ryan Blaney's corner over there in the NASCAR gambling podcast, and that's all but went away because poor Ryan Blaney has been in the corner lately, and it just seems like he hasn't been able to catch the right kind of breaks to get in victory lane.
And I think you guys are too worried about this 12 car. I think it's a slam dunk victory that's going to come. In fact, we'll make our hot take of the week here. Next time we do a show, he'll have won a race.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's 2 weeks from now, though, folks who aren't usuals here. Man, I don't know. I am a little concerned. I just think Ross could be a 3-time winner by the time we come back. These are 2 of his best tracks last year when he had lesser equipment as well, with that second place finish, top 10 finish at Road America as well. So I don't know, man. I think Ross is definitely – I think we got it right here overall. Elliot, where are you on Ryan Blaney in your individual rankings since these are a consensus?
I don't remember exactly where I had him, but I did have him in tier number 1, I believe.
Okay.
Again, it was the back half of tier 1. You know, the fact that he's run well, he hasn't caught the breaks. He's had a few bad breaks, but like I said, I'm not worried about him at all. We've seen Penske run well enough. I think that he's going to get to victory lane for sure.
All right, buddy. All right.
Well, I'm booking in the next 2 weeks, but even if not, he's winning by the end of the regular season for sure.
Okay.
That's
true.
Yeah. Tier 2 has got another non-winner. We'll get to him in a second. But Tier 2 has William Byron, Alex Bowman, Martin Truex Jr., Daniel Suarez, Kevin Harvick, and Kurt Busch. And Martin Truex Jr., that other guy who you expect to win, and I'm assuming he's going to win soon, but hasn't won yet. In this tier, I mean, we just saw Suarez win, but this tier has been a little more inconsistent of late. I feel like there could be a lot of interchanging pieces here. I forget which one of us. I remember one of us had Kurt Busch significantly lower than he is right now. But, I mean, tier 2, it's a lot of interesting guys here for sure.
I'll vouch for the guy who had Kurt Busch lower.
Okay, I didn't remember.
I definitely did not have him in tier 2. Yeah. But here's the thing, with this tier, it's the guys that were hot early, and that's Bowman, and that's Byron as well. The Hendrick drivers looked like they were just going to run away with everything at the beginning of the year, right? And now it just seems like it's kind of leveled out. And guys like Suarez, guys like Kurt Busch, they're starting to find their way through these cracks, and you're not seeing the dominance of the 4 cars from Hendrick rolling up top every single week. So to me, I had Truex as the first guy in this tier, and well, because for me, like I said, the Hendrick guys are falling off. I'm looking at how strong I think they can run for the rest of the year. And I get laughed at for Truex and Harvick all the time, who have one foot out the door. But, I feel like they're almost like Elliot's take with Blaney. They're just very close to punching it home, and it could be within the next couple of weeks that they do it.
Rod, I like your optimism, man. It's one top 10 in the last 3 races for Truex, and he hasn't just been a threat to win it all. The playoff points are low on the season for him. I will admit Byron's cooled off quite a bit. He's still the overall laps leader for the season, which means something, but they haven't
Keep
come
in
out
mind,
of late.
he led a lot of laps at Martinsville, half-mile track. That adds up real quick.
Yeah, that is true. But Alex Bowman's been fine. He's been consistent. He hasn't been a threat to win it all. But, I mean, like I said, I think Kurt Busch and Suarez, I'm much rather taking those two over someone like Martin Truex these next couple of weeks, no matter what kind of format I'm playing in. And I do think Kevin Harvick's going to have some luck here soon, but I don't know when it's coming. Overall, though, Elliot, I think you summed up this tier, man. Bunch of wild cards. People have been hot early or hot as of late.
Believe it or not, even with my Ally purple tinted glasses on, I'm going to go against you with Bowman there. And it's not that I want to. And obviously the Hendrick cars have been dominant enough, even with this next gen, that they can rip out a win at any time. Each of the last 2 seasons, we have seen big-time summer slumps from Bowman and that 88-48 team. And, I mean, Sonoma, they ran all right, got into some trouble late, not a great finish. That could really send this team into a big-time summer slump. So I would proceed with extreme caution with that 48
team. Fade Bowman. We don't get that too often around here, folks.
Yeah, I give Bowman way too much positivity, more than he's probably due. Again, with
I like it, man. Keep yourself in check. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, this could very easily be a 5, 6, 7 week summer slump here. So proceed with caution is all I'll say.
Okay.
All right, tier number 3, we've got Christopher Bell, Denny Hamlin, Chase Briscoe, Austin Cindric, Eric Almirola, and Tyler Reddick. And my main takeaway here, how the mighty have fallen. I believe Tyler Reddick, within the last 2 months, was a number 1, if not a unanimous number 1, and is now at the bottom of tier 3. I don't know what
yeah, I'm not taking a victory lap on this at all, but I was the first one to start fading Reddick. I was the last one to put him in our tier 1 as well, so I was kind of slow on the hot start. But I mean, it's just been a pretty bad last half of the season for him. Average start position of 10, average finish position 18.3 this season. So in DraftKings, he's been an absolute bust this season. He has not been good. Some of that's bad luck with some of these crappy finishes, some of these DNFs he's getting. But, man, I mean, really just falling off the face of the planet. Rod, do you have any optimism for Reddick going forward? Because I'm kind of hands off. I think he actually fell down my tier 4 in my ranks.
Yeah, he was at the very – actually, he's exactly where he is in my ranks, too. He was right there at the end of the third third tier. He's one of the guys that you really want to cheer for every single week. In fact, we've said it tons of times on the show that it just feels like whatever the bad luck bug is that has hit Tyler Reddick, it just keeps beating him. Like literally will not let up on him all season long. And you look and you say, oh, look, Reddick's having a good run. And then you blink and all of a sudden he's caught up in a wreck. Pit troubles. Just
Jabroni's in the pit crew. He's got Jabroni's for pit crew too, buddy.
He's got a bunch of wankers. He shares Kevin Harvick's pit crew. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough for Reddick. And yeah, I'm hands off as well because you just don't get that same sort of conviction with him as you expect to get, and especially at the beginning of this year.
Right. And that could be a thing. That reminds me of a point that I don't know if multiple of us made it or I definitely made it, that RCR did the earliest testing of the next-gen car of any other team. They had a hot start and now slowly cooled off as we get into the summer months and teams are learning more about the next-gen car. And that may have really hurt Reddick and Austin Dillon pretty bad. I got to give a shout out to Denny Hamlin here too. Super inconsistent, honestly, super crappy runs at the beginning of the year. He's got 2 wins now. That means he's 100% safe to make the playoffs, even if in this crazy run. He's still only in tier 3. I don't know that he's getting back to a tier 1 driver this season until maybe very, very late if he makes a championship 4 run. But I got to shout out Denny Hamlin. He's done better than I expected him to continue doing. I thought he was on a very downward trajectory, but
yeah, we were fading him early, boys, and I don't think like it wasn't a bad call because I don't want to say his wins have been fluky because they haven't, but he has 4 top 10s this season and 2 wins. Like when he gets up there, he's competing, but he's not competing very often. 2 of his last 2 races, he's been outside the top 30. Just kind of inconsistent.
And some incidents though too with getting dumped by Chastain there. Well, that was I guess multiple weeks ago, but so a lot of times it's been out of his own hands in a lot of cases.
Yeah, that's true. I think the one person, we can't forget in this tier is Chris Bell. And, he hasn't been the most exciting driver to watch, hasn't scored a lot of playoff points, got you those stage bonuses. But 9 top 10s, I mean, that is absurd for a guy this low in our tiers. That is not too far behind Ross and Chase, who lead that department for the entire Cup Series. So Chris Bell is someone I'm looking at in this tier. Rod, are there any other takeaways from tier 3 for you here, bro?
Well, and that's just to back you up. I actually have Bell in tier 2 as the third driver in tier 2. So I definitely have him up there a little bit more too. To your point, it's the same thing. He's running well. And I don't know what it is about him getting overlooked, but these Gibbs Toyotas, when they run in packs, and it's just a matter of where that pack finishes half the time. And Bell's usually up in the front of that mix. So for him, I think it's good. Denny Hamlin. Yeah. It's just, we were on full fade Denny mode for a while, just like you, and it paid off early. He's going to catch up again. I don't, there's like Elliot said, I don't think he's going to be a tier 1 driver again anytime soon, but he'll probably find his way back up to the bottom of tier 2 by the time it's all said and done.
I think with Chris Bell, he's had a lot of good runs, but I don't recall him being in serious contention for a win this year. And it's the fact he gets outshined by all his other teammates.
Exactly. 100%.
But definitely consistent. And if you can get him at a tier 3 value in whatever league you're playing, maybe it's worth picking up for sure. It sounds like.
Absolutely.
On to tier number 4, it's Austin Dillon, Chris Buescher, Eric Jones, Brad Keselowski, Michael McDowell, and Bubba Wallace. And this is a tier where it's not going to necessarily shock me if any of these guys win, but it would kind of shock me if any of these guys win, if you know what I'm saying.
The only one. Oh, go ahead, Seth. Sorry.
Well, I mean, I was just going to say, Elliot, I think you hit on it. Out of this whole tier right here, there's one playoff point. One person who's won a stage. That's Bubba Wallace. And, I don't want to say anything else about Bubba Wallace. But, yeah, just inconsistent. Like, I like a lot of these drivers. Austin Dillon, he's shown some life at times. Chris Buescher's rallying as of late. Now that he's, down a race, he kind of has to. And Eric Jones, love Eric Jones. 5 top 10s. Our guy JKL, he hit on it beautifully earlier. He's a threat to win, but no playoff points for him too. So, yeah, that's kind of where this entire tier sits for me.
Yeah, I have Keselowski down 1. So Keselowski is not even. I want to like him. I called that there would be a good season for him at some point, but boy, I tell you, I think I called him over 2 wins or over a win and a half. Sorry, at the season, and he's not even anywhere near that at all. So, but you're right. I mean, this tier is just a really dart throw type of a tier where you may get a good finish, and you're probably more apt to get one that's not good out of these guys. They run up front and then they disappear at the finish. So it's just, I don't know. I kind of held my nose. I had Denny Hamlin at the top end of this one. So yeah, again, this is one of those ones where you just sort of say, I don't know.
Yeah. Shout out Michael McDowell though. He is very well improved these last couple weeks. Had some really strong cars. He was a threat here just a couple weeks ago at Sonoma too. So he's the one biggest mover I think on this list, at least upward so far this season.
Yeah, McDowell and Front Row are weird because there's 3, 4, 5 races a year where it's like, oh man, Michael McDowell's running in the top 10, and if things go his way, he may end up getting another victory. So I don't, with that team, I don't know if it's talent that's holding them back almost or talent that's boosting them up. I never quite know what to think about them, but the point is, shout out to McDowell for a real good run. And the other Front Row driver's not even in our tiers, so what does that tell you about it? As we move on to tier number 5, we've got Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Justin Haley, Cole Custer, Ty Dillon, Harrison Burton, and the number 16 rotating Colleague car. And with Cole Custer, I don't know how he keeps this ride. I genuinely have no idea how he keeps this ride. Even the fact that his dad, Joe Custer, is a higher up at Haas. It's every week it's the Haas car. He's not bringing in sponsorship dollars. He's not running well. I think earlier in the show we said, no top 10s or no top 5s or something. I have no idea how he keeps this ride. No clue.
Yeah, Cole Custer has been absolutely freaking trash, man. I mean, he kind of sometimes run in the top 10, but it doesn't last towards the end of races. He always kind of fades out. Yeah, man, Cole Custer has been disappointing. I am off the Ty Dillon train, I will say that, but he deserves to be ahead of Cole Custer, in my opinion. It has been a couple awful races from
It was very close. It was like just 1 point separating them. It was close.
Rod, is there anyone else in this tier you like? Because I think there's two or three guys that stick out to me, and the rest of them I'm good with. I'm not going to be playing with, regardless of format here moving forward.
I mean, they're race car drivers at this point. Their bodies in a car.
Yeah, they are Sprint Cup. They are Cup Series drivers. So
they are Cup Series drivers. The one I don't have is the 16. I don't have the 16 anywhere near there.
It's just because the 16 car is just such a rotating cast. If you have Allmendinger at road course, it's a threat to win. Yeah. Noah Gragson at a Texas, I don't care. It's tough.
Yeah. I mean, there's value in there every once in a while, but it's just a matter of these guys. I really wanted more for Haley on the season. I did. Unfortunately, that hasn't come to pass. So, I mean, if you need roster fillers,
I'll say this. No, the 16 car has been better as of late. Again, they've kind of picked up on a little bit of a hot streak. Bad finish for the dinger out there at Sonoma, but 17.7 average finish since the All-Star race for that 16 car, and that includes one race with Grayson as well. So they've kind of been a nice value out there. I mean, Dinger, every time he's in the car, his DFS price shoots up towards 10,000. That is kind of the issue with him a little bit. And Justin Haley, Rod, we haven't seen him really compete these last couple weeks for a win, but he's been solid. Back-to-back top 14 finishes, and those were at tracks he really didn't know. Hasn't had much time in a Cup car. He ran both Nashville and Road America in the Cup Series last season, so I think there are better days for Justin Haley. I actually like him at Road America a lot. He might be someone that I'm slipping into my lineups depending on the qualifying position, and maybe even throwing a little bit, just on like $1 on some outrights,
Yeah, with a couple of these guys, and I mean, I'll compare this to more of a fantasy football type of deal because I don't think there's any dynasty type fantasy NASCAR leagues, with the kind of turnover that you see. Justin Haley and Harrison Burton are guys that, if such a thing existed, they would be perfect pickups to stash away in a dynasty type of league to compare it to, fantasy football and more traditional fantasy sports. Because I don't see these guys or these teams really competing this year, but we've seen the 21 car have strong runs with experienced drivers. Harrison Burton's still just learning the Cup Series. I think that he'll be better, and it's the same thing with Colleague to an extent. I mean, we've seen Colleague obviously win in the Cup Series before. They've got this rotating cast of drivers. I'm sure they do different things, different weeks to that car, and I'm sure that affects what happens to Justin Haley too. Not to say that Colleague doesn't value their full-time car, but I'm sure when you got Allmendinger on a road course, you might be focusing a little more on that vehicle than you are that 31 car.
They need to commit. They need to commit to one driver next season.
I think they will next year. I don't know what the hell they're doing this year.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be Grayson that takes that over or if it'll be Hemrick or who it is. But I think once they get a consistent driver in that 16, I think it will be better. I think the rotating cast thing is tough, especially for Justin Haley when he doesn't have a consistent teammate there.
Right. Yeah. So, well, those are our tiers. You've got the real good guys. You got the guys that are inconsistent, and you got the dynasty stash-aways, so to speak. So,
Yes, sir.
But all right, let's get a little more specific and move ahead into the parking garage props of the week. Gents, I'm eager to hear what bets you got for the next 2 weeks.
I got a sleeper here. I got a head-to-head I'm liking. Rod, any guys on top here, any props you're seeing out there before I jump into mine that we should be paying attention to heading to Nash?
Well, I threw out the outright that I like, and that's Joey Logano, and that kind of leads into the head-to-head. He's actually paired up with Denny Hamlin at
Yes, sir.
plus 100. You got that one, don't you, Seth?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. I'll let you cue that one up. But that one is one I'm looking at. But I'm also looking at Kevin Harvick over Kurt Busch. Or actually, what I really like more is Kevin Harvick over Chase Briscoe. And it's because Chase Briscoe, again, we talked about it, how there's a little inconsistency going with Briscoe. He's good, he's bad, he's good, he's bad. But Kevin Harvick seems to have put something together. And there's a little momentum with Kevin Harvick that you're starting to see now. And I think that's going to translate well into these next couple of races. And I like him over Chase Briscoe. You get a Kevin Harvick to put stuff together. Like he's a veteran driver. Will he win? Probably not. I'm sorry. I want him to win, but he's just, yeah. But in 2 of his last 3 races, he's had top 5 finishes. And you go back 3 out of his last 5, he's had top 5 finishes. He's got something put together, and I think he's going to outdo Briscoe. And I'm looking at the number now. They're giving Kevin Harvick minus 115 over Chase Briscoe at minus 105. So, he's on the favorite end of this, but I still like Kevin Harvick to top Chase Briscoe.
Harvick's got Busch Light Apple in the car this week, too. That adds a couple of miles an hour.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hashtag Busch Light Apple, baby. Rod, I think that's a great one. And what a tale of 2 seasons been for Chase Briscoe. Beginning of the year, this guy was competing week in and week out for wins, consistently running top 5, top 10, and now just not really showing that consistency. No matter, even on the road courses, he hasn't been as good as he normally is. So I don't know what's going on there in the 14 camp, but I think they need to get it figured out before the playoffs. Harvick, though, has been, dynamite consistency as long as, the knuckleheads and the crew doesn't screw it up for him. So I really like that one. Yeah, the way. Also, Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin, you talked about this one already, Rod. And I mean, this, I was surprised that Joey Logano was, the dog in this one by so much.
Plus money, Seth. Yeah.
Plus money for Joey Logano. I love it here. He was 10th here last season. Denny Hamlin was 21st. So Denny doesn't really have the, good experience on this track. And Hamlin's been outside the top 30 the last 2 races. I know Elliot kind of gave him a little shout out earlier, but I think Joey Logano here. Logano's good at tracks that he doesn't have a lot of experience at, and Hamlin does not seem that way. So I got to go with Joey Logano on that one, especially with those odds, man. They're giving that is free money. It feels like
that is a must, yeah, for sure.
Last one for me here, someone that I'm maybe just considering throwing a little bit. Definitely in some DFS lineups. Definitely maybe doing a little bit of top 3 and top 5 finishes is Ricky Stenhouse Jr., guys. He has really kind of been dynamite as of late. Cooled off these last 2 races, but he still had 4 straight top 10s coming into the new track, Wingate. What was it? Gateway. Sorry.
I think that they are really moving toward calling it St. Louis. All of us old NASCAR fans who watched those Busch races there in the late 2000s are going to have to change. I think they are going to veer towards St. Louis.
Okay, so St. Louis, coming into that race, he had 4 straight top 10s. He was 6th at Nashville last season, 12th at Road America. So I really like what he's been doing out there. And he's been a guy you can throw into the end of your DFS lineups, kind of that tier 6 driver that I think we should be paying more attention to. Average start of 25.2, average finish of 21.9. So he's getting those differential points on a consistent basis. So whether you're betting, whether you're playing any DFS this week, I like Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and that doesn't come out of my mouth very often. So let's cherish it while it's here, boys.
I was about to ask you how hard it was to say that.
Yeah. That's where we are now in the season, though, boys.
I got one more. I'll toss out one more. There's group betting, obviously, in DraftKings, and I'm looking at Group C. And there's William Byron, there's Tyler Reddick, there's Christopher Bell, and there's Alex Bowman. Seems like a tier that we have, right?
Yeah.
I'm feeling a tier. But I'm gonna give this one. Byron's the favorite at plus 200. There's not much of a. We always kind of say that there's not a lot of value in betting favorites, but in this instance, I think William Byron at plus 200 is not bad in this group. We talked about the struggles with Christopher Bell lately. Obviously, Tyler Reddick. If we ride Elliot's summer slump narrative on Alex
Bowman ran terrible in Nashville last year too. So
exactly. And Byron actually finished third. So I think Byron is on a roll enough to where I think he can claim a top spot, at least in that group. We're not asking him to win. We're not asking him to do much more than just win out of those four drivers. Out of those,
in theory, if everything goes right, you're not asking him to finish higher than 32nd. You know, just beat the other guys that you've said.
Man, Rod, those are good. Rod came to play this week once again, man. Those are really good odds overall. I've started to like the groups a little more. I've started to, scan those a little more often because it really is generous odds. I mean, when you're going to get against three other drivers, it makes sense. But yeah, I like those, Rod. Those are really well done.
Thank you. I'll keep my job.
Shout out Cody Powers. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey, Cody.
Absolutely. What's up, Cody?
Yeah, some real good bets there. And as we know, as always, all of them are going to hit. This is all free money. So go ahead and take these and run with them as usual. All right. Well, let's round it out this week. It's our Backroad Advice and Stories segment. I'm not sure who put the topic in here, but I really like it this week. So whoever put it in there, go ahead and lead us off.
Yeah, so this is actually a question I saw, on Twitter that was kind of trending a little bit around there. Does being a NASCAR fan affect your driving habits? I know a lot of people that it does. So Elliot, Rod, does it affect your guys' driving habits, you think?
What do you think, Elliot?
I would say it doesn't affect mine all that much. If I had a nicer car, if I had one of those rocking, a Ford Mustang or a Chevy Camaro or something, then you can really rock with it. But, I can't really put myself in that headspace driving back and forth to Pittsburgh every day in traffic in my Honda Accord, So I save that for the PlayStation, NASCAR Heat 5. Then I'll get my driving habits out of the way, NASCAR style.
Yeah, California driving does not lend itself to feeling like a NASCAR driver unless we're talking like after a pit or after, a caution flag or whatever, and everybody's all bunched up. At that point, then
red flag maybe, right?
Exactly, like a red flag just stopped on the track. My kids know I suffer from a little bit of road rage, and it's just because I'm getting older now, and to be honest with you, I just hate everybody else on the road. So
all us young whippersnappers out there messing up your travel.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, blinkers are a thing. So I don't know, like NASCAR, watching NASCAR, I always think to myself, if I could just open this up and maybe pull a lane change here or a slide job there, that'd be fun. But overall, no, it doesn't really affect my driving habits.
Yeah, I like to think I'm a good driver. I definitely use my blinkers more than I think most people do out there, and I'm pretty cautious as well. But I'll definitely say both my cars are standard, so I definitely like to wheel it a little bit. I live pretty close to some back roads as well. So when I get on those back roads and, it's an afternoon, evening, and there's no one on the road, I like to slap it around a little bit. I like to shift down going up hills. I like to, wheel it a little bit. We kind of live pretty close to a little 2-lane too that just kind of goes up to all the shopping and the stores here in State College. And, I might shift a couple lanes or something, try to get that outside lane choice. But I don't know. I definitely think it does a little bit to me. Like, I definitely feel it. It's fun though, man. I have fun driving. Driving's like fun as hell. Like, I wish I would have done more like racing as a kid. I think that would have been awesome. I think then I'd really be in trouble.
Yeah, it can be tough to get into, though. And even though not any of us are speed demons, it sounds like, when you're under caution coming to the green flag, the guys go this way and this way to clean the tires off. I think we've all been guilty of that a couple of times.
Oh, yeah.
There was a TikTok or a Twitter video or something that went viral, and they blamed it on F1. That's not an F1. That's a NASCAR thing, man. Back and forth,
sir.
clean them tires off, get ready for the restart,
I should do that at the next red light. I want to see if the person next to me figures out what's going on. I'll inch up a little bit and I'll sort of clean the tires off as I'm going and just sort of figure out if they know. If they give me that knowing look, then I know they're another NASCAR fan. Although
pick up an old Jimmy Johnson sticker on eBay, throw it on the back of your car. And
Oh, too soon. I do like driving go-karts though. I do.
Yes.
Anytime I go to like a Boomers or some sort of golf arcade or Scandia or something like that, I love to jump in the golf. Then my friends, I feel like a NASCAR driver.
Yes, sir.
Right. Professional driver on a closed course, we're all going to get out there a little bit. And it doesn't have to be an old Jimmy sticker. That would just be the cheap ride. You can get the new IndyCar merch if you want, Ron.
Even better.
All right. Well, this one has been fun as usual. Thanks again for joining us. Rod, what do you got coming up lately? You're doing everything. You were talking to us about CFL before, ultimate disc golf. You're doing everything, man.
It would be easier if I listed things that I don't do, but no, I'm just I got the NASCAR Gambling Podcast obviously coming up tomorrow night with Cody. We'll be breaking down, obviously, the next race in Nashville, talking about the trucks, talking about the Xfinity cars who are back again, and just having a good old time talking NASCAR betting. If you want to listen to the CFL stuff I got going on, CFL Podcast comes out tonight for week 3 in the CFL. I know I'm ready. Let's go. And then I did do a show yesterday, and I'll do another one on Thursday about the Ultimate Disc League, the AUDL. It's Ultimate Disc, which I'm going to say the brand on here because I guess it doesn't matter. But I used to play Ultimate Frisbee in the park. It's that, but on a professional level. Talk to the CEO and the commissioner. So it's out there, the Tilted Landshark Podcast. If you want to catch it, catch it. It was a lot of fun talking to them and learning about disc. So yeah. I'm all over it.
Heck yeah. If you're going to jump in, you might as well jump right in with interviewing the commissioner of the sport. How about it?
Go big or go home.
Start at the top for sure. Seth, I know there's always exciting stuff going on here at In Between Media. Keep us in the loop.
Yeah, guys, we are absolutely pounding the streets out there at IBT so far this season. Again, the easiest way to support us is drop a like on this video if you're watching. Drop us a subscribe as well. You can find us on Twitter at IBT_media. Guys, we got columns coming out 3 times a week right now of the fantasy football, fantasy NASCAR, fantasy golf variety. We got the Backroad every other week. Rod, Elliot, myself, we always have some great guests tuning in as well. So make sure you check us out every other week. And right now, the 19th hole is weekly. So we got DFS PGA advice. Kelly, our awesome co-host Kelly, she called the Matthew Fitzpatrick U.S. Open win last week. Against the advice of her co-host, but Kelly's killing it over there with Bo and Connor. And then we got the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast rocking as well every other week. Scott Fishbowl's coming up, guys. We got a lot of leagues coming up, dynasty related as well. So we are busy here at IBT is what I'm trying to tell you. So if you want to follow along, easiest way to do that is subscribe to our channel. Find us on our website at inbetweenmedia.com as well. You can see more of Rod, more of Elliot, more of my smiling face over there, guys. Appreciate it, Elliot.
Lots of fun for sure. And hey, maybe the 19th hole, getting into that live tour a little bit gives them a little more content if they do that. But before I start going on a golf rant here, let's wrap it up for the week. This has been lots of fun. For Rod Villagomez and Seth Woolcock, I'm Elliot Hicks. Good luck with all of your bets and fantasy playing this week, and we'll catch you again in 2 weeks' time. Have a good night, all.
Peace.